ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ. Greetings. Welcome to our regular Sunday get together, one and all, and continuing our journey through this changing paradigm that we are currently occupying. So today I want to focus on a few things that I feel are important, and let me get some of the stuff out of the way first. That as we move into April, look, we've been trying to help individuals as we've been going along, trying to anticipate the changes and what challenges they may bring. And so far, we've been relatively on track. And so, as we noticed last year that the changes would bring and the changes in energy, possibilities of blackouts, possibility of not being able to harness energy, we find that we're there now. We anticipated food chain changes, supply chain changes, which impacted food supply, and we are there now. We are now seeing the inflation again. We're looking at things are changing very fast, dynamic. Things are beginning to become more chaotic because each structure, as it collapses, as it begins to implode within itself, whether it's the political structures, whether it's the governmental structures, whether it's the social contracts, whether it's the health systems, whether it's the supply chain, the distribution of food, whatever it is, as each one begins to implode, it begins to impact the overall paradigm, and in a way that's very unpredictable. So April, May, June, July are some of the months where this dynamic, chaotic energy is likely to ramp it up, is likely to increase in its intensity. Now, what does that mean between you and I? And at a subjective level, well, what it means is that we are, because change is rapid, change is dynamic, people around you, those who are unable to cultivate that peace in themselves, that anchoring themselves in that meditational or whatever practice that they have, those who don't have that will find this really challenging as more and more changes come about and very rapidly. And this then creates anxiety, this creates frustration, this could create anger. And again, we've said before, many times before, that anger is an energy that's building in the background and it is exploding in different ways. One, in people's health and well-being, because being in anger, firstly and foremost, damages you. And then unable to resolve the anger, maintaining that resentment, changes so many physiological changes, nervous system, endocrine system, electromagnetic field, that your body begins to suffer. And then obviously projecting that anger has then obviously other consequences. Well, this anger is building up. So it's important to recognize those changes impacting those around you and such impacting you as well, and therefore to be mindful of that. Avoid now here we've got to learn a little bit about ourselves as well. Look, you can't have a peaceful world. It just doesn't exist. You can have a peaceful self, but the world has to exist in its duality. You can have your peaceful. The trees, the birds, and everything else lives in peace and harmony. It just lives, right? What we consider to be destructive, we do it willfully. Most nature does it for need. We do it willfully. We do it out of greed. So this paradigm change that we are now moving into at a subjective level is making us question many things such that we're able to cultivate that peace within us. And in doing so, the world in itself begins to find its balance. Those who are engaged in acts of violence against each other for national interest or resources, and those fueling it, and those supporting duality, whichever way it is, are actually allowing themselves to be drawn into that same energy of conflict, hate, fear, resentment, and disappointment, but also arrogance. That all of these are not just harmful to the world itself, but are harmful to the individual itself. So, recognizing that this change that we are going through, whether it is the dynamic, warmongering that's going on in different parts of the world, is likely to increase and really start taking hold of our field of vision. It's just everywhere there are changes. So in that, it's important to maintain your peace, and in doing so, we will avoid adding to the already chaotic times that are upon us and are beginning to now move forward. And as economies and banking and food supplies and all these other things become, it's important to maintain ask yourself this question. If you didn't have to depend on any supermarket or any money from anyone else, how long can you live on your own where you are right now? And this will tell you how sovereign or how dependent you are. And if you say, well, Dav, I haven't got anything at home, but you know what? There's some rabbits around the corner, or I can hunt something, or I can fish something, or I can grow something, or have something growing. I know how to use my herbs around me, my whatever's around naturally around me. Then we can say, yeah, the person is sovereign. They're able to be self-sufficient. We are all being brought to this point of sufficiency, so we don't have to hang upon others. And this is where we've made our mistake. We've allowed our trust and, in fact, our sovereignty. We've given it to others. And now the abuse that has been going on for what I would say thousands of years is now coming to the surface, and it's not to everyone's taste. And as a result, these major events that are taking place and will continue to take place require oneself to contain a space of peace and a space of tranquility, even though you will get pulled in. Now, Guru Nanak describes this in a beautiful way, in which he describes you and I as um, being lotuses and lotus flowers, like the logo I have here. And it's this lotus always has its head above the water, even though the roots and the majority of the plant may have to be in the murky water and sometimes even in the dirt, right? And so to keep your head above water, to keep that tranquility is an absolute priority now, as more and more of this change becomes visible. All change is necessary and is going exactly as it needs to go. And it's important to remind ourselves of that. All is as it needs to be. All is as it needs to be. Changing our attitude, not the way we want things to be, but allowing things to unfold and trusting that unfolding. Trusting that unfolding. But we can only do that if we have mental clarity. And we can only have mental clarity if we have some level of practice. We can go beyond the content of the mind. So, to maintain our tranquility, our sense of peace, it begins first with our intention and our choice. Do we identify and live with our sense of self, our egoic sense of self, which can be very easily upset, very easily hurt, gets really worried, that's the one that everyone works with. And that's where most people live. We call it affectionately our personality. And the reality is that that's really nothing more than the mask we wear, and that content that creates that, the past, the beliefs, the opinions, the attitudes, the behavior, the automatic all of that we can call the egoic complex. If we identify with that, then we will take a beating as we go along. There's no two ways about it. However, we need to discover that we can step behind that. So first is to make the choice. Am I that ego that is desperate for this, that, and the other? Am I that? Do I choose to live like that? Or do I choose to live with that I know that I am? And I experience it through my meditations. That peace, that tranquility, that sense of self, that sense of safety, support, and rootedness. It's to make the choice and make a very clear choice. I choose to live like this. I choose to live like that. Doesn't mean we're not going to get pulled into the dramas. Yes, we will. But making that choice firmly and with awareness can really help us maintain that distance from the psychodramas that are unfolding around us and within us. So we can begin to recognize now that this paradigm that we began with right at the start, saying that we are going through a change that's never going to go back to what it was. You can now begin to see where it's going. Even now, we are not anywhere near it. We are sort of halfway through it, perhaps, if that. And there are many agendas that are unfolding, which are, are, are planned. Let me call it that. Maybe orchestrated is a better word. Conspired in order to provide a particular narrative. And that narrative was, you remember that, where has that COVID gone? Where has it gone? There was not a moment spare on any TV, any radio, anywhere where you were not bombarded with that narrative. And no one was able to think outside that. Wasn't allowed to think outside that. And if you did question that, you were then labeled, identified, demonized, and then made objects of assault. Same old game over and over again. And even now, the same agenda is being played, but in a different way, giving you something else to latch onto. And it's the persona that does that. It's the personalities that does that. It's not the heart. It's not the sense of self, because that sense of self knows all duality is as it needs to be. Right? There is neither this nor that. In the sense of the whole, good and bad disappear. Good and bad are our construct. A hawk eating a rodent, which we've named a rodent, right? That's a hawk, a bird eating an animal. We may consider that to be cruel. We may consider that to be bad. But in the nature of things, it's neither good nor bad. It is the way things are. We provide that judgment, and depending on your brainwashing, depending on the conditioning that we've been in, whether you're coming from a particularly religious worldview, they paint a particular picture, what is good and what is bad. But in reality, outside, in the whole, duality has to express itself in two ways. Black has to be expressed as the opposite, and white has to be expressed as its opposite. Up to its opposite, down to its opposite, and so on and so forth. In, out, all that stuff. So duality is what it is. And in that wholeness, nothing is good, nothing is bad. Things are exactly as they need to be once you recognize the wholeness. However, if you are tied up to a particular egoic, national, or communal narrative, that no, it is, it is my duty here to save the world, or my duty here to help the poor, and all of that kind of stuff, then really it's, or my religion says this, etc., or whatever it is. It's either everyone or no one. Either you are here for all, or you are here for no one. And this is an important distinction as well, where we do not fall into the trap of duality, that we see one to be less disadvantaged than the other. Disadvantage can come in different ways, and disadvantage can present itself in ways that we haven't even had perception. So someone may be really well dressed, but they may be hungry for days, where someone may be dressed not so well and look disheveled, but yet, have a full stomach. So it's important to realize that what we give these constructs and labels, this judgment, is really our egoic sense of self. Egoic sense of self, and depending on how it's been refined, those judgments will come to be. Now, while we are very good at judging everything else around us and negatively judging ourselves, we fail to realize that beyond this persona, beyond this personality, beyond this sense of self, lies this awareness, this consciousness that is the experiencer. Now, when I say it's the experiencer, it doesn't mean there's a you that's the experiencer. Consciousness is, and you come from that consciousness. It is not that you have consciousness. It's not that you have a soul. It's not like that. That has to exist in order for you to become, right? That is the substance. That is the very ground of being. Consciousness is the ground of being. Out of consciousness arises a whole range of energetic matter like ether, like within the East known as Akash. And through that Akash, as the vibration becomes more and more gross, it begins to create these subtle particles, which then join together, create three modes of matter, which put together create the universe that's around us. But the actual essence of all existence is Pursa, is Purkha, is this timeless consciousness. So, remembering that we are in this timeless consciousness, allowing ourselves to subjectively experience this every so often will consolidate that. And as things become volatile around us, we can make sure that we are in a position where we are adding something and maintaining something for our health and well-being. Because we, at this stage, nothing can be trusted to be what's being shown. So it's important to look after yourself. So, in summary, we are going towards a relatively intense time in energetic ways. It will create all sorts of situations within ourselves. Important not to get involved in the drama, the conflict, the divisions. Important to see the whole as the whole. Make sure you're in the right place, and the world will take care of itself. It is not yours or my responsibility. Our responsibility is only for ourselves, but that decision comes from you and I with real clarity and intention. Yeah, that's my intention, to have that choice to live and identify with that consciousness rather than the content of the mind, which is the persona. The persona will be stripped off all of us as we die. So, holding on to it just becomes more painful as it begins to deconstruct. So, important to realize that. And as we begin a deliberate move towards the silence, towards the stillness, you will find for yourself that it falls by itself. There doesn't need to be a letting go, right? There doesn't need to be a letting go. When you see the shadow to be the shadow, you stop holding on to it. And that's pretty much what tends to happen through constant practice of meditation, particularly the practice that we've been using. So, peace and blessings to all, particularly to all the mothers in the world. And the question is, how many mothers do we have? And the answer normally is, well, now we have two. The earth is our mother and our mother. And those people with wisdom, when you ask them that question, they say you have 2.5 mothers. And when asked to explain that, they say the first mother, let's assume, is the earth. But then there is the mother that created the earth, the hand that's behind all of this, the Bhagavati, the Durga, the feminine creative energy. That is the Omkar that creates all that there is. That is the mother of this earth, which is your mother. So mother number one is existence, the energy behind it. Mother number two is the earth itself. Why? Because the half a mother comes from the earth itself. If your mother was unable to be fed, was able to be sustained through the oxygen, through the water, etc., etc., so she emerges from the earth itself. Hence, the earth is the mother. And the earth emerges from the ocean of consciousness itself. So, mother number one, earth mother number two, and then half a mother because it needs the male XY chromosomes in order to create the XX or the XY in order to create male or female according to biology. Okay, so if we're ready now, we will do our meditation. We'll keep it relatively brief today, maybe 10-15 minutes, because everyone has things to do. So let's begin first with the intention. And the intention is simply to be present with ourselves. Closing our eyes, bringing your awareness towards your eyes so you can notice that your eyes are in fact closed. Then as you breathe in, bringing your focus to yourself as a whole, notice the body as best as you can. And a few moments to reflect the origin of this body that you claim to be yours. We all do that. This body is a product of the mother and the father. And has nothing to do with what we identify as me and you. So the body comes from the mother, and the body grows by itself. Moment by moment, breath by breath, heartbeat by heartbeat. And this body has the ability to convert a handful of solid food into constituents for blood, cells, nourishing every part of your body, all happening by itself. Just take a moment to reflect on that. Notice how the body breathes by itself. Notice how the body breathes by itself. Next breath in, bring your focus to the seat that you're on. Notice that your back is straight and upright. Notice the sensations in your body where you make contact with your seat or your chair. And from that point, if you allow this awareness to gently move up, so you become aware of your hips. So we're going to do a body scan, scanning this wonderful body that you and I possess. Taking a moment to smile at that part, to thank it. And then allow this awareness to gently move down your thighs, from your knees, all the way down to your ankles. And when you move to your feet, these feet that have held you, allowed you to walk, allowed you to sense what's beneath you, how tired they must be. Allow them to soften. Notice the soles of your feet. Bringing your focus now back to the seat you're on. And as you breathe in, allow your awareness to move gently up to your lower back, up to your middle back, shoulder blades, and then notice the shoulders. Moving your awareness to the back of your neck. If you just pull your chin in slightly, you'll notice the back of the neck stretching. From your shoulders, moving your awareness down to your elbows. From your elbows, moving down to your wrists. Notice the palms of your hands. And notice the fingers on your hands. Bringing your focus now towards your eyes. Notice the darkness. And as you breathe out, allowing your awareness to soften your eyes. As you breathe in, coming to your mouth, and in particular your tongue. In particular your tongue. Notice the firmness. Does your tongue feel firm or soft? Allow it to soften. Notice the sensations on the roof of your mouth. As you breathe out, allow your face to soften. And as you breathe in, once again, coming to your body as a whole. This remarkable body that works all by itself. Taking a moment to thank, to have some gratitude. Simply to have some gratitude is a thankfulness. Allow the body to fill with this gratitude. On your next breath in, bringing your focus to your inner space. And by that, we focus on the thoughts first. What kind of thoughts are floating around you at the moment? What's the story? Next breath in, bringing your focus to your chest, holding it on the surface of your chest. And begin to notice the movement of your chest. Notice there are sensations that are associated with the movement of your chest. Moving your focus a bit deeper into yourself. Almost the center of your chest, the center of your body. And as you hold your awareness there, notice you begin to become aware of how you're feeling right now. Allow all your focus to concentrate, to become aware of exactly how do you feel in the moment of now. Do you feel anxious? Do you feel settled? feel comfortable? Do you feel unsettled? Allow yourself to look deeper. And on your next breath out, begin to allow all the sounds around you to come to you just by opening your awareness. Begin to listen. Not trying to work out what the sounds are, no judgment, no commentary, but just listening. When you're ready, bring your focus just beneath your nose and sit with your breath. Notice that the breath breathe all the way till the end. Allow yourself to be drawn deeper and deeper into this moment. Stay with your breath, moving your awareness all the way till the end of the breath. Notice how long it stops before the in-breath begins. And to deepen our experience, we listen to the breath as well. Listening as intently as we can as the breath goes out, listening as intently as we can as the breath goes in, allowing our awareness to sharpen like a razor. Going deeper and deeper into this moment. Relaxed, alert, aware. The breath is your support. The breath is your anchor. Pran Adar. You notice how the breath flows without asking you. And on your next breath out, once again, we begin to listen to the sounds around us and just open our awareness, allowing each sound to come to us. And then allowing the sound of the bell to take us into the silence. When you're ready, gently bring your focus just beneath your nose, sitting with your breath. Using the breath as the anchor, yet open to all the sounds around you, including the sound of your breath. Next breath out, expanding your awareness to become aware of your body. Notice that you're still sitting where you began. Notice the stillness of your body, how the body feels. You can sense the seat beneath you. You can sense your thighs. We're simply bringing our awareness back into the body from this perspective of peace. Bringing our focus from our knees down to our ankles, feet, and then finally the soles. Bringing our focus back to the seat, noticing the back, straight upright. From your shoulders, you gently move down to your ankle or to your elbows, moving down to your wrists. Notice the palms of your hands again, fingers all relaxed and comfortable. Bringing your focus to your eyes. Your eyes are still closed, your mouth is still closed, and your face is relaxed. Coming back to your breath. And now as the breath comes in, you sense your body. As the breath goes out, you sense your body. Genuinely, quietly, gently, as you begin to become more and more aware of yourself, anchored in that peace within you, making the intention to finish your meditation. When you hear the bell, use the bell to draw a few deep breaths in, and in your own good time, opening your eyes.